Hi, this is Saeed. I am an atheist. I born in Saudi Arabia. I raised up as a Sunni Muslim, and then I investigate Islam for a long time, and then I'm interested in philosophy and other different branch of science like anthropology, uh, paleoanthropology, and biology too as well, and psychology.
I was waiting for that. You've certainly had enough to say about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I read different book about different philosophers, especially in the Western philosophers. And today we have a special guest, Vincent. He's a writer and a philosopher too, free thinkers, and one of the leader at Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture.
Yep, I'm on the board of the Brooklyn Society, which is a humanist organization. And we can get more into humanism later on in this video. I'd like to start out with a little bit about my background.
Sure,
You know,
that would be nice.
as you and Cole did in the last video. According to my mother, I grew up in the among the New York City Catholics, lifelong New Yorker, and according to my mother, I was a little atheist running around asking uncomfortable questions and not believing in God, even when I was like 4 years old. So in a way, I never really was a Catholic to begin with, because, you kind of got to believe in something supernatural in order to call yourself a Catholic. And that was fine. I quickly realized that if you're going to ask these questions of the grown-ups, they would get agitated very quickly. And I realized very early on that I should just keep my mouth shut and go about my business. And this left me in a position where I was able to take the positive ethical things from Catholicism, while leaving a lot of the superstition and the tribal hateful stuff. I never really bought into any of that. And fast forward to adolescence, and oh my goodness, I'm bisexual, and then realizing the hysterical and sadistic stance that Catholicism and plenty of Catholics have towards human sexuality at all, much less if you're some kind of queer person. I very quickly understood that there was no reasoning with these people. And I really then just went into hiding in my Catholic high school. It was Catholic education the whole way through, all the way through to the end of high school. I got a good education. I don't fault these people on that ground. I learned to read. I learned to write. I learned a little bit of critical thinking, although I wound up doing that mostly on my own, since that really is not one of the things that a religious education looks to arm you with, critical thinking, because, as soon as you start doing that, this belief in the supernatural is greatly in danger. Following my first attempt at college, after I graduated in my early 20s, came back to New York City and did all kinds of exploration in the what the occult community in New York was loosely called the occult community, paganism and Kabbalah and ceremonial magic and alchemy and Wicca and all kinds of really fun stuff. It was a great deal of fun. And I learned an awful lot about symbolism and a lot about psychology. because the practice at the time, and I'm not hooked into that community in any way at this point, have not been in, oh my goodness, 20 or more years. At the time, what you did was you walked around with a backpack full of different books. Mm-hmm. Everybody was reading more than one book at the same time. And you were expected to read these different books and learn what they had to offer and to put together your own philosophy or worldview based on that. And it wasn't until later on that I learned that this is what, in general, humanists do. Mm-hmm. They work to create a philosophy that comes out of their own personal experiences, and they're not afraid to look at a whole bunch of different stuff, a whole bunch of different ways of thinking in order to make their decision, or whatever that is, in the end. And of course, as you are and as everybody is, whether they even notice this about themselves or not, I'm growing and evolving as time goes by. So there are attitudes and reactions that I had maybe 5 or 10 years ago that I no longer have, and generally that's a really good thing. What is it? You're a seeker, they call it. I'm still looking. There's always more to be learned. There's always something else that I don't know and need to find out about. Where I am now is, well, I've always been an atheist. Mm-hmm. So to me, atheism was never even something to discuss because I was an atheist even as a child. So it's like, am I an flat earther? Mm-hmm. No, I'm not an flat earther. I just never believed that the earth was flat, and I don't now. And I don't really, in general, even discuss that. Yeah. There's, I'm covering different ground. Mm-hmm. In short, I consider atheism itself to just be, to quote a favorite of mine, Matt Dillahunty, a simple answer to one question, which is, no, I am not convinced by any of the evidence that I have been presented with that any god or gods or goddesses exist. Boom. That's atheism. But if I'm saying that that's a negative of what I believe, then what is the positive? What am I affirming? What do I think can I make positive claims about? Which brought me fairly late in the game. I didn't even notice that I was a humanist until sometime in my, oh my goodness, it had to be my early 50s when I started looking for community. I did not have any kind of community based on values or anything like that. So I went online and I was looking up all of these different things, and I was trying to determine what I believed and didn't believe. And then at a certain point, you realize that, I realized, and this was pretty late in the game too, that I never even believed in Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. Even as a kid, I never believed in Santa Claus. I went along with my parents because they were having so much fun telling us that Santa was going to come and bring us presents in the, during the night. And I never believed in Santa Claus. I never believed in Easter Bunny. I never believed in the Tooth Fairy. I believed in the quarters that the Tooth Fairy left under my pillow. Yeah. But I just didn't think it was the Tooth Fairy leaving them. And essentially that's how I look at all of that supernatural stuff, including claims about God, is that God is essentially Santa Claus for grown-ups. I just never thought any of that stuff was relevant to what I was doing. And I want to just say, in the interest of transparency, that certainly during my early 20s, I was looking for God or gods or the supernatural or this whole other realm of being. I really was looking when I was running around being a Kabbalist or a pagan or an alchemist or any of those other things, because I honestly thought that, hey, wouldn't the world be a lot more interesting if there was this whole other supernatural realm for me to dive into? But no, I ran into many, many very fascinating examples of what our brains can do and what we can experience, but never anything supernatural. And that brought me to humanism then, I guess. Once I was looking for a label for what I was doing, that seemed to work the best for me. And now I'm hardly an expert on the subject, but basically to me, humanism means that I believe in the value of other human beings, and I believe that people are more good than bad, and that what we as human beings need to do is to concentrate on making this world a better place for all of us, instead of worrying about what's going on in some afterlife or other world. And I have been active in a number of humanist communities. I've been an activist in the LGBTQ plus community on and off since my early 20s. I was around in the early 90s when we bisexuals had to convince all of these gay men and lesbians that we actually existed, much less that we deserved a letter, the B letter on the banner. That was another interesting example to me of tribal silliness everywhere, no matter how otherwise sensible or sympathetic I thought these people were. There was going to just be this kind of tribal silliness going on. Oh, you bisexuals, you've got your straight privilege and all. Oh my goodness, I just remember all of that. And it was just, it was all about tribalism. It was all about who was and who wasn't a member of the tribe, and it really didn't have a lot to do with who you could fall in love with and have a romantic relationship with. And that's actually where I originally met you, was at the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture, where we were both looking at what community was available for people with our philosophical proclivities, let's just say. And that leads, I guess that brings us to here. That brings us here to this table. That pretty much covers it, probably in far too much detail, but there you have it.
Yeah, I remember when we met at Brooklyn Society Political Culture, and then we went to New York Society Political Culture after that, and I become a member of New York Society Political Culture. This is really interesting story about yourself, Vincent, to grow up in New York City. You're born in New York, and you grow up in New York, and practicing different type of philosophy of religion, which New York City rich of diversity, and you can see mosque, church, different synagogue, different, and you are free to see, hear, observe, and then make a decision. And also that there is a lot of book available about different ideology, different philosophy, sciences there, and it's like an open market, and you are free to make your own decision, and you end up to become a humanist.
Exactly so. I think I was a humanist long before I knew the word. I think I was a humanist.
Yeah. Like I watch a video for theologian, right? And they become a humanist. A biologist become a humanist. We can talk about psychologists like Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, all those. And those modern psychologists too are humanist. We talk about biologists are humanist. Richard Dawkins, Charles Darwin, right? And there is a lot of the list over there. They are a humanist too.
Was Darwin a humanist? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, if you get to talk about anthropologists, which I met a professor here, he's a humanist too. Most of paleoanthropologists are a humanist. So why do you think people still need to believe in God or religion with all this evidence that we have, and we live in a modern life? Why?
Well, okay. First of all, they get you when you're young.
Mm-hmm.
You are a child, and you're being told by these adults who you're supposed to be listening to, because they know better than you do about just about everything. So they tell you they tell you these myths, and they say, well, these are true. These are true the same way, we are true, the same way your toys are true, all this. So you believe them. And that's a very natural thing. And I think the main single reason that people say that they believe these supernatural claims, even if they don't, and I certainly think that there's a lot more atheists in churches and temples and mosques and other places of worship. I think there's a lot of atheists in those places. These are people who are going along with this, because if you don't go along with this, well, look, part of being a member of a tribe is believing what your tribe tells you have to believe in order to be a member. And this is why I have reluctantly come to the conclusion that very few people actually care about what's true. They care about what's true when it comes to the level of, do I have to look both ways when I cross the street? Okay? Then they care about what's true. But the minute you move away from the physical, observable world, the minute you move away from that, all of this made-up stuff starts accumulating like mental cholesterol in your mental veins. And people don't care what's true because they care about survival. And if you're going to survive, you've got to be a member of the tribe.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a member of the tribe, you have to believe what your tribe tells you to believe. And if you get kicked out of the tribe, you die. That's been true for how many hundreds of thousands of years that Homo sapiens has existed. And prior to Homo sapiens existing, that was true of groups of monkeys. You get kicked out of the tribe, you're probably going to be dead. So that's why I think people believe, or they pretend to believe.
Believe.
There's a lot of people doing that.
Yeah. That's really interesting, because I thought that geography also matters. Like, let's say in Saudi Arabia, it's a desert before the oil. And I thought people, they just want to survive. They don't care much about philosophy, about the history. Yeah. But when it comes to United States, Europe, river everywhere, food everywhere, and people still do the same thing, and they want to be a part of the tribe, and they don't care really what. Of course, if we will compare, New York City to Saudi, much more educated people from different field, but they still do the same probably thing, which is Homo sapien did this long time ago before, as you mentioned this. They following their instinct, right?
Sure.
More than they follow their mind or become a creative about what's going around.
Absolutely. Yeah. All those parts of your brain mature and link up with each other way before your frontal cortex stuff does. So that's what most of us wind up acting from almost all the time.
Yeah, to survive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Really interesting, because I thought that I'm not going to find this, here, but I met a lot of people from different background, like Catholic yourself, Cole, Pentecostal Christian, and we have a lot also at RFR, which you witnessed this. We have also at Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture, New York Society for Ethical Culture. People left their own religion, left and right. What do you think people should believe if they would like to ask you if they don't believe in Christianity or they don't believe in Islam, what they should do believe?
Wow. Boy, talk about putting me on the spot, huh? Well, all right. They should believe in the world, in the world that they live in. How about let's start with that? They should believe in what their senses tell them. They should not believe in anything that you have to take on faith. I have no respect for faith. I think faith is prostituting your intellect in the service of tribal membership. I think faith is a gateway drug to a lifetime addiction to being right. I want to say that again. I don't just think that faith is unworkable. I think that faith is immoral. I think faith is what gets you addicted to a belief system and makes it impossible for you to leave that belief system. So, okay, I take absolutely nothing on faith. Now, faith is not the same thing as confidence. I've heard more than one religious person say, well, I have faith that my wife loves me. I can't prove that my wife loves me, but I feel it, and presumably she feels it, so that's my faith. My answer to that would be, well, sure, you have faith. That's good. But I would also, there's the nagging little detail that you probably have confidence that your wife loves you because your wife married you. Your wife spent a lot of time with you before she married you. She is probably going to agree to have children with you. She is going to help you keep house. She is going to do good things for you. And so what you have is confidence that your wife loves you more than you have faith. Just don't confuse those two words. I think the big problem with people who make the claim that faith is a good thing for human beings to engage in, for lack of a better, to feel, however you want to put it. I think faith never did a thing for me. Mm-hmm. What I want is confidence. And confidence is based on evidence. And of course, now we have to talk about what is evidence. I was talking to a very nice religious woman last week who was was just astounded, that I didn't believe in the evidence for Christianity. She was like, well, what about the empty tomb? And I said, well, the empty tomb is a myth from 2,000 years ago. What confidence am I going to have in that? Well, what about all the people who've died for what they believe in? Well, my answer to that is people die for all kinds of things that are good things to die for, like if you're dying to protect the people you love, and bad things to die for, like dying for an imaginary friend in the sky who's going to, once you die for them, they're going to enable you to live forever in this beautiful place. So people die, people will make that kind of commitment and follow through that way for all kinds of things. But more than anything, those people are actually dying for their tribe. Mm-hmm. That's what I have confidence in people dying for. You want to say, well, they died because they believed that Jesus rose from the dead? Yeah, maybe some of them.
Yeah.
Sure. But that's got to be a bell curve to my thinking about human psychology. It's a bell curve. There's going to be some people who absolutely, utterly believe in the empty tomb, and there's going to be some people who absolutely don't believe in the empty tomb. And then everybody else is probably somewhere in the middle there. So that being the case, what are they putting their quote unquote faith in, or what's the counting on? Mm-hmm. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the theologian, said, what you can tell me what your friends count on. Mm-hmm. He was corresponding with somebody about religious belief in Germany at the time. And not what these people, not what they have quote unquote faith in, but what do they count on? What are they putting their mental hands to in their day-to-day life that's helping them get through their days for practical reasons and whatever you want to call them, non-practical reasons. And that's confidence, whether you have that or not. And that's your tribe. I would far more believe that somebody was dying for their tribe, which includes their friends, family, and loved ones, than they're dying for some deity that they've never met. Mm-hmm. And never will meet because, I think deities are a projection of our unconscious minds.
Yeah.
So that can be very powerful. Mm-hmm. Unconscious parts of your mind. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So would somebody be willing to die for such a belief? Yeah, sure. Why not?
That's really interesting that people believe in a story, and through that story they see the world through that story. They see themselves. They see people around them. They imagine their life, how it's going to be through that story. So they see everything through that story. Whatever the story, who told them that story. Like, this is what you try, and that's what's going to go to their head, and depend on that, those people going to act and react, and they're going to, that's, wow, like really blow my mind to see how limited a human mind is. When you just say that confidence depends on evidence, and those people don't believe in evidence, they believe in a story, and that story provide comfort to them, and they just don't want to change it at all. Even sometime when this story doesn't match with their need, but they're going to fix it to make it match with their need to go through life and face this. I mean, the difficulties that because there is a lot of suffer, probably struggle that a human being face, economy, disease, right? Sickness, broken heart, or all that things, and they need hope to survive and go through life.
Absolutely. But do you care if it's false hope or not? That's kind of, that's an important, I mean, I don't know, have I ever, I can't say I've really ever fallen back on false hope. I have many flaws, and I have made many errors during the course of my life. But being dependent on false hope is not one of them.
Yeah.
That one I managed to scoot past or around, or however you want to put it. And I have no idea how. I mean, look. As far as I can see, a large component of believing in God versus not believing in God is as I think a lot of these other character traits are very strongly genetically determined. Because we are a social species, we live in tribes, and what a tribe needs is different personalities and different perceptions, a reservoir of these different personalities and different perceptions, because at any given time, certain personalities and perceptions will be more appropriate to the situation than others. So that's why we need people with the same reason we need people with different talents, because not all talents are needed at all times. So having a different personality. Saeed, I can't say that I am an atheist or even a humanist because of some philosophical decision that I made, based on evidence that I analyzed carefully over many years, and with the help of consulting books and teachers and experts and meditating and all of this. As far as I can make out, I was born not believing in God and the supernatural stuff. What I'm saying is that it is not some virtue or skill or something that I learned or achieved that I didn't believe in God and the supernatural stuff. It was something that I came out of the box, off the rack, untailored Vincent, just simply was constituted to not believe in this stuff. In other words, it's not something I can take credit for, if you understand what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
As I have put it to any number of perfectly good and loving religious people over the years, if there is a God, then my place in his plan is to not believe in him. I am doing the work that God wants me to do by not believing in him.
I see.
And more than one of these folks has been really startled at this. To which my answer is, hey, look, you're okay with childhood cancer and tsunamis wiping out whole towns, and that you're okay with.
Yeah.
But me being created by God to not believe in God, that you can't fathom.
Right.
And I think the reason
Sure.
that they can't fathom that is because, not because God needs me to believe in him, her, it, them, but they need me to believe in God so that my mere existence does not challenge their tribal superstitions, their tribal myths.
Yeah.
So that's why they have such a hard time. Yeah. You know, childhood cancer, okay. Oh, strange and mysterious ways. But you say to them, well, yeah, of course, another strange and mysterious thing is that God created me to not believe in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like, I mean, when you say that God created you, that not believing him, and why he gonna punish me for not creating you that way. But some people, when you just mentioned they, would want you to believe in God. Do you think those people have agenda to let you believe in God, and they hide behind that agenda, behind God picture? And when they ask you or force you to believe in God, so you're gonna follow to benefit that agenda. So, if that
The answer to your question is yes. They do have an agenda. Now, it may not be an agenda that they are conscious of. Okay? Their agenda is that whenever a believer meets somebody who does not believe what they believe, that's challenging and frightening to them.
Yeah.
So the agenda is, look, just believe what I believe, and then I won't have to be challenged and frightened.
Right. I see that.
That's a perfectly good agenda, you know?
Right. When I tell people who think that I'm Muslim and I told them I'm ex-Muslim, they change the way how they behave and the way how they treat me. And I believe what you just said now. That's really, I mean, interesting thing to understand why people stuck with their own faith and they don't want to change it, and they demonize the other people who believe in different way than they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, that problem that you're talking about is because and I think this is mostly because of religion, but it's also because of just, let's call it tribalism. Mm-hmm. And when I use the word tribalism, what I mean is human beings have their tribes, and the default setting for a human being is me and my tribe, we are the good people. And those people in those other tribes, they are the bad people. And religion reinforces this. I mean, as far as you can tell, monkeys act the same way. Mm-hmm. There's anecdotal evidence of genocide among troops of chimpanzees. We are the good chimps, and we want all of the bananas and the mangoes and the papayas in the trees in this area. So we are going to wipe out those chimps so that they aren't taking our bananas from us. Mm-hmm. So they wipe them out, and there you go. The good tribe kills off the bad tribe. Now, when it comes to human beings, what this means is, and I find this poisonous, because what you wind up with is human beings who do not know how to be good without making other people bad. In other words, in order for them to be good, somebody else has to be evil.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, getting back to your question, that's the agenda. That's the agenda.
That exists exactly. Thank you for mentioning this about the chimpanzee tribe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a great example, actually. Because I want to say that in the Quran also, the Quran say that Muslim people who believe in Islam, exactly how Muhammad wrote the Quran, those people gonna go to heaven. But the other tribe, like Christian, they lost the true way to God, and the Jews, that God hate them. So, so this is the example exactly about what you just said. So this religion forced people to believe in God, but also have some agenda in that message. So God is good, believe in Him. This is the way how He is. Love your neighbor, right? But also hate the Christian. Or the Christian, they lost the way to God and they're going to go to hell. Jews did the terrible thing. We are, as an atheist, the Quran also have its description for us.
Oh, yeah, you're going to hell.
Yeah. We gonna, according to the Quran, we're gonna go to hell for sure. So Islam, one of the religion that force Muslims to believe that way, and we see the result now. It's not just ideology. No, we see people react, depend on that ideology to do action,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
So this is what religion costs, and this is probably also a point match with what you just said.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Religion, or the tribe, let's just say religion, does not teach you how to think. Religion teaches you what to think. And they're not giving you any alternatives. That's why I have always preferred philosophy to religion. Because the basis of philosophy, any philosophy, the purpose of which is to set people free, rather than to imprison them within the philosophy. Any philosophy whose purpose is freedom is going to teach people how to think. And once you know how to think, then you can decide for yourself what you think. But religion just wants to skip the whole how to think part and tell you what to think. And that's not just religion. That's politics. That's almost all politics. Come on. Political leaders don't want a bunch of people who are, only following them as long as they make sense.
Yeah.
They want people who will follow them right over a cliff if it comes to that. And teaching people how to use their own minds is not how you get that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I would like to thank United States of America that we can believe whatever we want. We have a freedom of religion and from religion at the same time.
Well put.
Thank you. But that not the case in other countries, they force them to believe certain way, the way how the government want. The government give the script to religious leader to say what they supposed to say. So they program the people depend what the government want to control them easier, to make it easy for them to control people. And that's happened often in Muslim country. And I think also that Islam isolate people, isolate his Muslim people from the world. They don't engage with Christian. They don't, and they think that they are the best, and that would put them behind, behind the science, behind the knowledge, behind the civilization, behind. They are much more behind. Yeah, there is a rich Muslim country, but they are still not free to think, not free to live their life freely, as a free human being.
The tragedy of it is, and I don't claim to be any kind of historian here, but what I've read is that at certain periods of time, the Islamic countries were the intellectual and technological forefront of the whole damn world. Certainly, all of these books from the Greek philosophers that we only have because Islamic scholars preserved them. What a tragedy that momentum wasn't followed through on. We'd probably all be speaking Persian, some dialect of Persian now, if that had continued. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
That's right. That happened when Muslims dominate South Spain, Al-Andalus. And that time, actually, there is a lot of different knowledge come together. When they were free to let Christian and Jews and free thinkers come and share their thoughts with the leader. And that was the best time for Muslim people or Islam as a civilization, But after that, Muslim people in the East, they were angry about how Muslim people or Muslim leaders were behaving and adopting different thoughts from the West, from the Greek philosopher, and they came to destroy all that things. And now they trying to go back again to the fundamental.
Fundamentalists.
Fundamentalist.
Yeah. Well, the error that fundamentalists make is always the same. They mistake the map for the territory or the menu for the meal. They mistake their holy book for the universe that their holy book describes. You have a belief system. The world is just going to be bigger than your belief system. And if you are sane, you recognize this, that it doesn't matter how much is in any book, the world is bigger than the book. But the religious fundamentalist says no. The book, and the book is the world. There is nothing in the world that is not in the book. And I got to tell you, I kind of think that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. You know. So, look, I'm a humanist and a skeptic, and I would rather have an uncertainty that I can be certain of than a certainty that I'm uncertain of. Mm-hmm. Is that making sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what you get as a religious person. You get a certainty that you are uncertain of, because your certainty is grounded in faith, and your certainty is grounded in the, to me, obviously insane perspective that my religion describes everything in the universe. Mm-hmm. And it always has, and it always will. And when I'm saying the map is not the territory, I forget who, there's a linguist named Korzybski who came up with that phrase originally. And what he was saying was, look, you've got a map, like the subway map, mm-hmm. New York City subway map, okay?
Yeah.
Is the subway map bigger and more detailed than the subway itself?
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously, Saeed, any sane person knows that the subway is bigger than the subway map, okay? Mm-hmm. But what a religious person says is, no, the map is bigger than the subway. My holy book has everything in the universe in it. There is nothing in the entire world or the human mind or anywhere that is not described in my book. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, honored others, but I consider that to be bugfuck crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's a really great example, Vincent.
The technical term for this as a philosopher is bugfuck crazy.
Yeah, that's a great example about the subway map and the subway itself. And this is what they told me, really, that everything that you need, any question that you have inside this book, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, biology, history, whatever, you name it, it's there inside this book. And we see the result for that thing, what they say. Look at Afghanistan, okay? Look at Yemen. Those people exactly follow that things, that everything that you want to know about the universe, about your life, about what inside this book. So the result that people graduate for understanding this book, they don't know anything about the world, because what exists in the book is not that real knowledge, gonna give them a good life. And the result, people gonna have a lot of confusion, struggle, poor, confused, scared, stressful, because the way how they look to the world, as they told them, is not matched with the reality. And that the real confusion. So now when they face these difficulties, they're going to blame who? God? No, God is untouchable in their head. So we're going to blame who? We have to blame someone, because this is unbelievable. And we're going to blame what the book told us to blame. Who? Christian and Jews.
I knew it was somebody's fault.
Yeah.
It can't be mine, because I'm perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm just want to give another example, exactly like what they told me and what I thought it's real. And then I free myself from this book to see what's going on outside, to read different book, different philosopher, different time, and try to trust other people, not just judge them. Exactly what the book said. And here's the result. I end up to become an atheist, free thinkers, and I don't believe that God told Muhammad what he's supposed to write.
Well, neither do I, since I didn't believe in God. And again, I looked.
Yeah.
I looked. I made a good faith effort. But of course. Now, Muhammad's unconscious mind very well could have given him these messages, the same way as Joseph Smith or any of these other people who have brought us these, great religions. But let me just say, let me be the devil's advocate for a moment.
Yeah.
Religion is very good at what it does. Very, very good. And what it does is it controls people, and it does everything that it can to make it inevitable that everyone thinks the same thing. And I would be the first to admit, and I use the word admit because this isn't something that makes me happy to have to say this, but I would be the first to admit that given the actual human beings that societies have had to work with through most of history, things probably do work better on average for the most people if everyone believes the same stuff, so that they're not having to fight all the time over, is the earth flat or is it, just to get everybody organized, to get out there, irrigate the fields, maybe, join our army, for whatever the reason that is, we need you to join the army, and to aggregate themselves into communities that are not based on being genetically related to each other. I gotta say, I gotta hand that to the great religions of the world, is they arose at a time in human history when, for whatever reason or reasons, humanity was learning or trying to learn how to organize and cooperate on a larger scale than like me and my brothers and sisters and cousins and second cousins and all of these people who were all related by blood. Mm-hmm. If you don't have being related by blood to be the organizational factor, then what do you've got these beliefs, you've got these myths, and they're very good. They are very good at what they do. You do need a certain amount of social control. Mm-hmm. A certain amount is needed. I'm the first to admit it, because the type of person I am does not like that. But just because I don't like that doesn't mean that it isn't true.
Right. Right. Like a religion provide comfort to human being and gave them also community and maybe different things too. And that would make religion survive through the history.
I would absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's cultural evolution. A favorite of ours, Dan Dennett,
Yeah.
talks about that all the time in his various books and lectures.
Interesting. Daniel Dennett he's a great philosopher.
He is.
But one of the things that I would like also to mention here, Christianity developed and it changed. Christianity in the West is not that Christianity back then. I mean, they try to make it more nicer, more modern Christianity. I mean, some church that we have in the West, especially here in New York City, and I see also that with Judaism as well. But I don't see it in Islam. Islam still that religion, and they try to go back more than moving forward.
Wow, that's quite an indictment, Saeed. Why do you think that is?
I visit different mosques. I met different religious leaders around the world who speak different language, and I witnessed this. I observed this, that they follow the Quran literally. You know,
Okay.
they change just a little bit, like a human rights try to engage in this. So, for example, there is a text in the Quran: if you steal, they have to cut your hand, and that's what they did that time. They cutting hand, you know, for people stealing something, and then and that happened recently in Syria when those fundamentalists came, and Iraq too, when they came and they control the city. They did this, you know, a woman who cheated and her husband. They put her in the ground and they stoned her. So, but some country like Saudi Arabia, right? When a human rights came and engaged, they asked them to change a little bit of this thing because this is unacceptable. You have to just move forward a little bit. So, because sometimes the thief stole something, cost $5. You cut his hand for, you know, and just leave him without. So put him in jail for a certain amount of time, and that's what's happened to also the women who cheat on her husband. Don't stone her, just put her in jail for a certain amount of time, and her family will not gonna take her from jail because she's already shamed that family. So she's gonna stay in jail until her family can decide, even if she finished her time. So when you ask me why do I see this, the result is clear. Look at Afghanistan, look at Yemen, look at you know, Pakistan, look at Bangladesh, look what Islam as ideology. When Homo sapien adopt that ideology, the result is clear, I think.
Not why do you see that, but why do you think that is the case?
Because if we try to give Homo sapien better philosophy, than Islam, we're going to get a better result. Or we can change the construction of Islam a little bit to make it match with the modern life, so they can live better life, become more friendly with the world, being more friendly with themselves and their head. And this is why I say that.
But is it some quality of or condition within Islam that causes these folks to be going backwards or stay the same more than Christianity or Judaism? If so, I'd be curious to know what that is. What is the aspect of Islam that is making that happen? Bearing in mind that I don't know is a perfectly legitimate answer.
I think Christianity developed in the West, like in Europe, right, and also in the United States of America, and there is also science engaged with Christianity, and also geography play part of it. So people become more liberal Christian, they believe in science, they believe in Christianity at the same time. Catholic, they accept evolution as a fact. So science engaged with Christianity, which make it more livable and match with the modern way of life. Judaism also did that as well. As I mentioned earlier, that through Judaism, we can understand what's happened throughout the history. We can understand Christianity. We can understand Islam. We can understand the history, what's happened, how people lived through Judaism. And also Judaism engaged with the science too as well, and philosophy for a long time. Because in Judaism we have a lot of diversity. There is a Jews from France, Jews from Germany, Jews from Ukraine, Russia, around the world, and they speak Hebrew as a language would connect with them, with each other. So, but this is not the case with Islam.
But there are Muslims all over the world in different countries with different cultures.
Right, but all of them, the majority of Muslim around the world, they see the world through Quran, and this is the only way to understand the world, as we mentioned earlier. Science, lifestyle, philosophy, history, what God wants, what God doesn't want, the way how you enter the bathroom, the way how you take shower, the way how you sleep. You have to go to the mosque 5 times a day. You have to read the Quran exactly how the people read the Quran back in the days. You have to follow what Muhammad did and his friends. And there is 5,000 hadith over there. If you left Islam, you have 3 days to back believe in Islam, otherwise your blood is halal, like the halal food, you know. That means your blood is halal.
That's scary.
Uh,
So they're allowed to drink your blood after 3 days?
that means they're allowed to kill you. If not the government, the people. If not the people, your family. So there is no way to go around.
Wow.
And I saw different example with when I visit ex-Muslim North America. I told you about this organization. People still face consequences in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Yemen, Libya, in those countries. They are afraid to speak their mind. They have to run, leave everything behind, their family, their country. If you have houses,
Wow.
you have to run for your life, and this still happens.
That's horrible. Well, I guess I'm still puzzled as to why this is the case. Because you take Christianity, it was the people who were outside of Christianity that, during the Enlightenment, for example, who did not accept everything that Christianity had to say. It was those people were the basis of the positive changes that happened in Christianity. And you could debate this back and forth forever, I'm sure, but that is the historical interpretation that I'm going with because I like that one. I guess I'm just simply puzzled as to why that hasn't happened with Islam. And look, I know nothing about Islam, basically. I don't want to know about Islam. Any more than I want to know about Nazism or communism or any of these totalitarian philosophies that preach hatred against people like me.
Yeah.
But there must be some kind of quality to it that is different than what these other things have in them, these other religions have in them. But perhaps that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Since I certainly don't know what to say about that.
I think we had a really good conversation for today. I'm glad that you are here, Vincent, to share all this information, and especially Subway. That was great example, really. And I hope the audience will enjoy this conversation as well. And we will probably see you again.
I hope so. I hope to be here for the next conversation next month. And if not, you'll certainly be hearing me putting my 2 bits in.
Yeah. Would you like to say anything to the audience before we end up this podcast?
It's better to be free. It really is. That's all. At least for me.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Thank you very much. And we'll see you probably another time. Thank you.